On to the big CNBC TV18 exclusive today. The government will release a reworked draft data protection bill for feedback. This after withdrawing it from Parliament in August. The draft bill is likely to keep social media companies outside the regulatory ambit because there were concerns about overlapping. Ashmit joins us now with more. Ashmit, what are the likely changes we could see, and is it going to meet its date with the winter session of Parliament?
Well, it's been a long time coming. You pointed out 2017 is when we had the Puttaswamy judgment, which upheld the right to privacy. Since then, we've seen back and forth, with the latest being that the centre had withdrawn the bill from the Parliament on account of what they had called were excessive amendments and a complicated regime is what the centre had called it and had withdrawn it. What we understand is that they've paid heed to some of the advice that they received from some of the intermediaries, some of the stakeholders. So as far as what the deadline looks like, well, at least it will be open up for public consultation by the end of November or by early December. That's the indication that sources within the government are telling us. As to what the changes could look like, well, the broader theme that the government is trying to convey is that, look, we're looking for a simple regime. We're looking for ease and compliance. We're looking for a regime that is not averse to startups, that is supportive of startups. As to what exactly those changes are, well, there are a couple of takeaways here important to keep in mind. There was a lot of feedback received on account of data localization, storage and processing norms. These are conditions which one understands that are likely to be relaxed. That's what sources within the government are telling us. That's one. The other important takeaway is social media companies, intermediaries. The earlier regime, the bill that was before the Parliament had sought for overriding powers being given to the Data Protection Authority that it would exercise over these intermediaries. What we understand is that these social media companies, given that they're already regulated under the IT Act, are likely to be taken out of the regulatory ambit of the Data Protection Bill. So that's the second key takeaway. The third is this bill was found to be excessive. Data Protection Bill was found to be excessive as it went even as far as to specify conditions for hardware and for devices. That is again something that in fact received a lot of lashback from the stakeholders, from the industry, and that is something that the government sources tell us is something that the bill will be aware of, will be wary of, and will keep these devices and regulating them out of the ambit of the data protection bills. But clearly all eyes now on the government, on MeitY for releasing it for public consultation, and that's when we can begin to get more clarity on the timeline going forward.
Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. Well, the big story that is breaking at this point in time, there is a setback for